Number 2, Christmas is about God's miracles. The birth of Jesus was miraculous. He was born of a virgin, fulfilling prophecies written centuries earlier, based on their assumptions. Some people think, these are cooked up stories. Have you ever heard a virgin becoming pregnant? It looks like very cooked up story. It doesn't happen. You don't see those things happen, right? Can a virgin who does not have any relationship with any man, can she conceive? If you ask anybody, they would easily say it's highly impossible. Some people assume that because we are scientifically so advanced, we know how the babies comes, and the people who had written these accounts did not know how the children come. That's a false assumption. They know how the babies were born. That's why when Joseph, that his betrothed Mary was found pregnant, then he said, I'm not gonna take you, I'm gonna divorce you. But he wanted to do it quietly, because for people who commits adultery, for them, the death penalty is there according to Jewish law. So they can be stoned to death. Joseph was a good man, righteous man, so he didn't want to tell outsiders. He thought that Mary did something bad. She cheated on him. He knew how the babies were born. That's why, he wanted to leave Mary. He wanted to divorce Mary. In Luke's account, we would see the similar incidents with Mary. When angel comes to Mary and talks to her and says, how will this be since I'm a virgin? Mary asks the angel, and the angel answered her, the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore the child to be born will be called Holy, the Son of God. So it is by the Holy Spirit that Mary became pregnant. For some other people, miracles are violations of natural laws. Miracles are violations of natural laws because in nature we have certain laws. A woman cannot conceive without sperm from a man. The sperm and egg have to collide, otherwise there is no baby. But the natural laws that we think, that we define, are for us, not for God, who set these natural laws. I'll give you a simple illustration. The Newton's gravitational theory. What does it do? If you leave something, it falls down, right? But did it fall down? No, right? What did I do? I caught it. Did I break the natural law then? The gravitational force supposed to pull it down. It has to go down. That's the natural law. But did I violate the natural law? I did. So we violate natural laws so many times. For God, it's not a violation of natural law because He had set them in nature. He is the one who created this universe. He is more powerful than the universe, than the natural laws, and He can use His power in any way that He wanted to. So miracles are possible, and Christmas is about God's miracles. I wanted to highlight something for young people here, our teenagers here. Here, when we read Matthew chapter 1 verses 24 to 25, when Joseph woke from sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took his wife, but knew her not until she had given birth to a son, and he called his name Jesus. What I wanted to highlight from this is, how they kept themselves pure before the marriage. The Mary's age at the time when she was conceived, probably early teens. And then Joseph would have been in the mid or late teens. That's their age. But today's society is defined with sexual freedom. They wanted to have sexual freedom. They wanted to use their bodies in any way they want to, outside of marriage. From Joseph and Mary, we see how they kept themselves pure. Even though they betrothed, the betrothal was a process, is beyond engagement. It's a marriage process, but it is not fully marriage, but it is the process of marriage in the Jewish legal system. Even though they were betrothed, they kept themselves pure. Even Joseph, he kept himself pure. Young people, when you have an opportunity to commit sin, remember that God has created this body not to defile it, not to make it impure, not to use it in any way that you wanted to use. The sexual relationship is only permitted within the boundaries of marriage. It is not outside of marriage. Let's go further. The virgin becoming pregnant is definitely contrary to natural law in our terminology. And we don't see that happening regularly or occasionally. That tells us that birth of Jesus is unique. What does it mean to be unique? Simple Google search tells unique means being the only one of its kind, unlike anything else. That's why you don't see virgins getting pregnant afterwards or before Jesus, because it's unique. The birth of Jesus was unique. And I also wanted to show another miracle from the gospel, from the stories of Christmas. In Luke chapter 1, verses 5 to 7, and verse 36, it says, "In the days of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah of the division of Abijah, and he had a wife from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth, and they were both righteous before God, walking blamelessly in all the commandments and statutes of the Lord. But they had no child, because Elizabeth was barren, and both were advanced in years. And behold," verse 36, "your relative Elizabeth in her old age has also conceived a son, and this is the 6th month with her who was called barren." You see here people who are well advanced in their years. That means they passed the years of having babies. They passed their age. They are old enough people not to have babies. But God comes and tells that He is gonna give them a child. So again, contrary to natural laws. But God still does miracles. Now I wanted to tell you a story that we had experienced in our lives. When we came to Christ, in our neighborhood, we used to have a family. Her name is Sarojini. The couple were married for like 7-8 years, and then they did not have baby, and they were going to hospital and checking, and everything looks good, but they never had baby. My mom shared gospel with her and then said, "If you can trust God, He is able to provide a child for you." And then she trusted God, and then she started coming to church. She came to church 6 months regularly, and then God had opened her womb, meaning she got conceived, and then they had a baby. So God can still do miracles even today, not just in the Bible. But if you can believe, God can do miracles. Are you ready to believe? What circumstances do you have in your life that you are thinking they are impossible to happen in your lives? God is God of miracles. He can do miracles in your life. You might see that whatever that you are thinking that you want, it is like so far away that you can't reach, and it is unlikely to happen. But God is a God of miracles, and then He does miracles when you trust and pray according to His will. And then number 3, Christmas is about God saving people from their sins. Christmas is about history, not a myth. It's true events. And then Christmas is about miracles.